I'm using my Sharper Image Airflow Styler. I'm gonna wanna got it all. I don't even know what I'm wearing. Hold on. So the first question we have is, how have you been mentally? Mentally, I have been a little like unstable. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, because I've been racking my brain with trying to figure out what my future is going to be. I've really just been having to find peace in is that God has brought me this far, not to just forsake me or to, you know, leave my side. He is definitely with me, and I have to lean not on my own understanding, but rather on his, and figure out how to take a passenger seat in this chapter of my life. I feel like a lot of times I like for things to unfold in a really like crazy manner, and I expect for every little piece of the puzzle to be put together. And in this instance of my life, nothing is perfect. Like, I got into grad school and I announced that and I was so excited, but it's not a perfect circumstance. It's not a perfect situation where, like, you know, it's a full ride. At least as of my knowledge right now, I don't know what my scholarship award is. And so I'm trying to figure out how can I make this happen for myself and be financially stable whilst trying to further my education. And then, you know, with job searching, I feel like God is constantly closing door after door after door. And it's like he brings the opportunity to me to remind me that I am capable, because people are asking me to do the jobs. But then it's like, oh, we've moved on with another candidate, or at this time, we're not looking to fulfill this role anymore. And it's very discouraging. It has definitely caused me to question who I am and question what I am called to do. But I think this past week has been the most affirming week of my life. And I'll explain more later as we continue with the Q&A, because I'm sure more questions will pertain to that. But it's honestly mind-boggling to me how God will give you the computer, the camera, the skills, the this, the that, and you're sitting there and you're saying, well, why aren't you bringing me the job? And he's like, I gave you everything to do the job. Just do it. Stop waiting for someone to give you stop waiting for someone to give you the big break, and you be the big break. I've given you everything that you need to do to take yourself to that next level, and you're waiting for someone else to give it to you when I gave it to you. So that's just been where I've been at mentally. It's been very discouraging, but also encouraging. And I feel like I'm having to rewire my brain as I'm going through this very uncertain season, because I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know that deep down inside, I'm supposed to scale my thing and build this beautiful table for a lot of creatives to sit at and work on meaningful projects. And that is supposed to be guided by the Rikki Lee agency as well as Salt and Light Co. And, you know, all of the things that I've built is not something that I should just walk away from for the sake of security. It's not something that I should just walk away from for the sake of saying that I did it. You know, I have to be intentional about what my next steps are going to be. So to answer that question, mentally I was drained. Mentally I was unsure, but now I'm getting to a place where I'm starting to feel confident again about what is to come for me, and I'm starting to feel a little bit more trusting and faithful to whatever God's plan is for me next. The next question is, where do you see yourself living in the next 5 to 10 years? In the next 5 to 10 years, I definitely do see myself living in like Chicago or New York. I really wanted to move to either of those cities straight after graduation. But, you know, as an entrepreneur, there are seasons where you're sowing and there are seasons where you're reaping. And with knowing how the financial hardships of entrepreneurship can be, I don't want to put myself financially in a situation where I'm stressing myself out and I can't just be fully creative and just show up and do what I love because I love it and not because it's work. And I feel like I would burn myself out in a really unhealthy way if I were to move somewhere where the cost of living is extremely high as an entrepreneur. So I was thinking about moving down south if I was to go fully the entrepreneurial route. But I think the happy medium would be Chicago because it's not nearly as high of a cost of living as New York, but it's still that city life vibe. And they have a lot of like just local attractions that are great to go on. You can go yachting. Like there's a lot of different things that you can do in Chicago that you could do in more tropical areas, but it's more of like a moderate temperate climate. The next question is, what would be your advice for young women like you trying to balance everything in life? My advice would be to take it one day at a time and learn how to prioritize your priorities. I think it's so easy to look at the chapter of your life and look around you to the other way, look around you to the way the other people are doing life and think that that's what you should be doing right now. But I really encourage all of my subscribers to really tap into what you want for your life. Just because the people in around their mid-20s are doing X, Y, and Z doesn't mean that that's what you need to be doing in your mid-20s. Just because you're in college and everyone's going out partying and that's the culture doesn't mean that that's necessarily what you have to do. I think we should be much more inclined to be the authors of our story, right? We should be the co-authors of this story that we're going through every day. And every single day when you wake up, that's an unwritten page, a new opportunity to rewrite the narrative. And so don't get so caught up in living a life that you've already seen lived, okay? Live a new one. Live a new one. Have a constant source of curiosity to go after whatever it is that you want, and don't let up. Don't let up at all. Don't let up for no one. Don't let up for a man. Don't let up for a school. Don't let up for your family. Like, go after full force for what you want, but also remember to give yourself grace. So many of us want to build the mansion in a day, and it's like all you got to do is lay one brick. So I really like to sit down and write down my goals and think about, okay, when I look at my year, how can I fit in each of these goals in different quarters, especially knowing like my work schedule, my school schedule, and whatever else that will allow me to focus in on these 3 things every quarter. I give myself 3 goals every quarter. This quarter was for me to dive back into that Go Radio and get it off the ground and to reach 100,000 downloads. I also had another goal to really just get back into being consistent with vlogging, and I'm really doing that. And then another one of my goals was to finish off the semester on the dean's list, and so I'm working diligently to reach that goal every single day as I'm showing up for classes and, you know, turning in work and just being very diligent. But I manage my goals around a big picture. So many of us can like have laser focus on one thing and forget to think about everything else, but you have to think of the bigger picture. You're painting this big, beautiful canvas that is your life. Stop getting so focused on the very minute details, because when you scale out and you look back at it, it's like, oh, that didn't really matter that much. It's all about this. And so when you think about your life goals, when you think about your purpose, when you think about all of those different things, it helps you make decisions a lot easier, because you know, like, if this isn't helping the big picture, we're not adding this into it. And I always like to think, like, when I add extracurriculars, when I add on new relationships, when I add on new endeavors, that is taking away from me being able to finish my canvas. And that prolongs my process. And so when you think about it like that, it makes you be a lot more intentional about what you do on the day-to-day. Because, babe, how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. And I didn't realize that until like 5 months went by and I was just being extremely lazy and trying to focus on so many of the little details that I forgot what the big picture was. And I had basically walked out on content creating. I didn't realize it, but I had definitely failed to be consistent for my audience. And so it's just like, that's what it's about. One day we can focus on the minute details and having editors and producers and all these different things, but like, what can you do right now consistently and control? And that's what living a well-balanced life is about. It's about finding that bare maximum threshold for yourself that you can meet consistently instead of just doing the bare minimum and expecting for God to make a miracle out of your bare minimal effort and turn that into your goals and turn that into your dreams and your visions. Like, you have to meet him halfway. And I meet him halfway daily by doing the bare maximum, making sure that I meet my non-negotiables, and I block out different days of my schedule for specific things. So like Wednesdays and Fridays, I don't have classes, so those are my content creating days. Okay, as I was saying before I was really interrupted, figuring out that bare maximum threshold for yourself is going to be so pivotal, because so many of us are like, oh, I want to be a podcaster, right? But do you have the capacity to record an episode for an hour and a half every single week, cut that down, edit it, upload it, create show descriptions for it, upload it, release it to the public, and then also advertise it? Like, what is your happy medium? Because if you do that, cool, you can do that. That's bare maximum. But if you take it up a notch and you say, I really want to do the most. Doing the most looks like doing a whole video production in addition to the audio. So I need to send it off to an editor and have them edit it. I also want to send it off to a producer and have them edit down the audio, because I don't know how to do it. So I'm going to delegate that. And then I'm going to wait for them to bring all of that back to me. And then I'm also going to write the show notes and release it and advertise it. So with the bare maximum threshold, you're doing preparation. You're making sure that you're coming to the table with clear, concise thoughts so that your episodes have a really nice flow. And although they don't have video with them, they still have great substance. And so for anyone that's listening, they're willing to listen all the way through. The bare minimum would be to just pull out the microphone. You're not doing video, you're just doing audio, but you don't even prepare notes for the episode. You just go on there rambling and you're talking about whatever. Every single time you get on the mic, you don't even do the same intro. It's like different formulas every single time, and people just they can't get a grasp for what you're doing because it's inconsistent. And you're waiting for a miraculous episode to reach the masses and take you off. But when they go to all of your other episodes on the podcast, it's like nothing is the same. There's nothing that I can really grasp onto and say that I love, because here's this one episode that's great, but everything else is different. So no, I'm not subscribing, I'm not following, and it was nice to meet you, but like, cool. So many of us sit at the bare minimum threshold, or we have such a big vision or goal that we want to do the most, and it's like, why not find that happy medium? Why not try to figure out how can I show up for myself and get closer to, enacting my dreams without burning myself out entirely and making it nearly impossible for me to show up consistently. And I've had to get real with myself like that several times throughout my life, because as you guys know, I have a digital stationery brand, I have my podcast, I have my YouTube, I have my TikTok, I have all of these different platforms that I have to show up for at some point, but I don't try to show up for all of them at the same time. If you've ever noticed, I am a seasonal girly. You don't see me on any platform year round. I do sprints, I will do challenges, I will do whatever it is that I can do that is sustainable for me, because I'm a full-time college student. So finding ways to create like an editorial calendar for yourself to say like, okay, I have this business and I know I'm still a student, so I am going to take clients only in the summer and in the winter. And that's what I've done for my agency. I always take on a big project during the summer, and I also take on a big project during winter break. And likely the payout for both of those projects is large enough to sustain me for a few months. So you really want to be intentional about how you're giving your time to certain things and figuring out what is the return on that investment. And sometimes the return on the investment isn't going to be until a couple years from now. But if you put in the bare maximum, where it's not taking away so much of your time from being able to make money for yourself or being able to, get good grades or whatever the goal is or the thing that you need to sustain right now, that's where you want to stay. So that's how I would say to maintain balance. I know that was like a really long-winded answer, but that's my advice. The next question is, what is your definition of confidence? I would say that confidence looks different for everybody. You know, confidence is something that I had to fake for most of my life, and it's something that I constantly have to come back to the drawing board and figure out, why am I confident, what makes me confident, because in different seasons of my life there are different things that I like about myself. I was actually talking to a guest for the podcast this weekend, and we were talking about how a lot of people struggle with just liking themselves. Like, they don't like who they are, they don't like how they look, and there's just a lot of self-hate going throughout this world. And I really want you in this next quarter to diligently date yourself and relearn yourself and figure out what it is that you like about you. And even if that looks like asking friends, like, you know, what is it that is so spectacular about me? What is it about me that you really love? And I find that on my birthday every year, I'm very intentional. I know this sounds like so self-centered, but it's not. It's really an exercise for me to remember, like, why I have the community that I have. And it's a very nice sentimental moment. But going around and asking everyone that you invite to your party, like, their favorite memory with you, why they like being friends with you, not those specific questions, but it's like geared around that. And it just reminds you and grounds you into how amazing of a person you are. Sometimes we can get so stuck in the mundane activities on the day-to-day, eating, sleeping, working, that we forget that we have a soul. We have an aura, we have an energy that we give off. And so many of us walk out on exercising the practice of not necessarily perfecting that aura, but like living in that aura and being content in that aura and just being you. And sometimes I can forget who I am. And the one day you wake up, you get your hair done, your nails done, you do all the things, and like you really show up for yourself and you're like, damn, like I really am that girl, like I forgot. So for those of you who are forgetting, put that on. Put it on real quick and remind yourself, or like, you know, sit with your friends and ask them, like, you know, I lately have been feeling lost, like I really don't know who I am. And you want to have the loudest cheerleaders in your life and in your corner that can remind you and be like, babe, you are that girl. You are phenomenal. You are consistent. You are gifted. You are loved. You are light. You are amazing. Having women in your corner that can remind you and speak life into you when you've spoken death over yourself is magical. And so I feel like constantly we always say, you know, confidence comes from within, but I feel like confidence can only be exuded so much by the type of environment you put yourself in and the type of people you surround yourself with. And if you surround yourself by people who believe that you are boundless, by people who believe that you're brilliant, every time you interact with them, they will remind you, so you never forget. And so for those of us who do struggle, who are naturally confident for the most part, but sometimes you can forget because life just continues to life, bring people into your world that are gonna remind you, like, girl, relax. You're still that girl. You're still bomb. Like, don't play around. I know life is like, you know, I know life is beating you down right now, but like, I need you to remember that you're his girl. You're God's girl. And because of that, you're that girl. And I love you. The world loves you. We see you. We celebrate you. And even on your worst days, you're still enough. And that is truly my source. My source is my word. That's where I get my confidence from, because if no one else can tell me who I am, I know that that will affirm for me who I am. But it's always nice to have people around you that can be that springboard to get you back on track. Like, girl, don't be forgetting. I know your job is getting on your nerves and you're uncertain about what's next, but you're still that girl. I want you guys to see the results that you can get with this freaking thing in literally like 5 minutes, but I'm gonna let those cool down and so they can hold their shape a little bit. I want my hair to give loose goose, so I'm kind of letting these fall in the front because I don't want it to be like perfect curls. But the next question is, what advice would you give to the girls that want to start YouTube? For the girlies who want to start a YouTube, my biggest advice is to not watch YouTube. I'm very strategic about this. I love all of the vloggers who are vlogging right now, but I think that the subject matter as well as the content is very much so similar across the board. And while the common denominator is the subject matter or the content, it's always good to make sure that just because it's you is not the only reason why people come to your channel. Like, they come to your channel because the cinematography is good. They come to your channel because the message is good. They come to your channel because it makes them feel amazing. And it's not just because your face is on the thumbnail. And I think it's also very important to figure out your why with your content, because a lot of things are popular at certain times and it can make you feel like, oh, if you're not making travel content, or oh, if you don't live in an apartment that is this specific aesthetic, that you can't show up and be successful on YouTube. And I'm here to tell you that none of that is true. So be careful about what you use as the blueprint for anything you do in life. It's great to be inspired, but understand that your vision is not their vision. You know, like, your calling is not their calling. The purpose of your channel is not to do the same thing as theirs. And so for me, I intentionally do not consume a lot of YouTube videos just because I want to make sure that I'm not being swayed by what is popular or what's popping or what's, you know, like, you can use SEO to your advantage and figure out what buzzwords are popping, like self-care or glass skin or things like that, and make a video and put your own spin on it. But as far as like watching other vloggers' content and trying to steal their editing styles and trying to, you know, do things the way that they're doing it, that's not necessarily going to help you. You have to figure out your own unique style to editing, how you want to show up, how you want to greet your audience, what you want to call your people. Like, that takes time and that takes putting in the reps. And so just know that it may be 1 to 2 years where you're not making a significant amount of money off of YouTube. For me, I've been doing this for nearly 7 years of my life, and to be honest with you, I've made maybe like $5,000 off of YouTube, maybe in total, off of the past 7 years. And I wouldn't change any part of my journey because I built a very slow but very niche and tight-knit community, and it was not off of the back of any viral video. It was not off the back of me doing anything clickbaitish. It was not off of me being in any drama. It's simply been off of me being myself, being authentic, and bringing forth to the table my shortcomings, my trials, my tribulations, all of it, and sharing it with you guys, and like building this space for us to, you know, share. And so if you want to do something that is truly impactful and that truly is going to resonate through time and is really going to be lucrative in the end, because your people are going to trust you, because you're not just out here doing things because you want to make money, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get brand deals once that time comes when you skyrocket, because the people genuinely love you. And one thing that I will part you guys with on this tip is that you want to create binge-worthy content. There are so many comments you will find under my videos where someone will be like, oh, I found your channel like 3 weeks ago and I've been just binging because I have content from 7 years ago. You know, I have vlogs from 4 years ago of me being a freshman at Ohio State. So there's this big arsenal of, or archive of content that people can go to see my journey. And that's something that people really love and appreciate, is a journey. And I feel like with content creating, and similar to any person with a likeness, with celebrities, content creators, influencers, all of us alike, when we have a storyline for people to follow along and see the growth, that is something that people really do love. And when you have a little digital vlog camera and you show the intimacy of the behind the scenes of everything in your world, that's something that people become attached to. So just be very intentional about what it is that you're putting out. Be yourself, and I promise you it will grow and it will scale sustainably. you know? The next question is, how do you deal with self-doubt? Like I said earlier with the advice on confidence, whenever I'm doubting myself, I definitely make sure to go back to my board of advisors, my friends, my family, specifically my mother and my sister, and ask them about, you know, what it is that I'm troubled with, and they always speak life into me. They always remind me of who I am, whose I am, and all the things that I've done, because it's so easy to forget all the stuff that I've done, because it truly is a lot. But my mom is always someone who's like, girl, you've done this, you've done that, you've done that. Like, why are you sitting here meddling over the smallest little stuff? Like, he already said that it's yours. Why are you worried about it? And like I said, when you're in it, when it's your world, it's so easy to forget who you are and the impact that you're making. And so just go back to your people and ask them, like, you know, I'm troubled with this. I don't know how to figure it out. And if you don't have anybody around you that can do that for you, you can always go to God about it. And I find that I've gone to God about a lot of things in these past few weeks, and he has dropped these little affirmations in front of me continuously. I was in line at the airport talking about my grad program and how I was really excited about it and whatever. And we were both flying back to Columbus, and she informed me that she worked for an agency in Columbus and she would be able to give me an internship for the summer. Now, I reached out to this lady, y'all, and she didn't say anything, but it's just those little things of reminding me that if I speak it out into the world, God will make it happen for me. So many things have come to me. I was just at the speaking engagement yesterday. This woman invited me to her home, to this beautiful business that she's built. It's called Fifth Acres here in Columbus, Ohio. And she invited me to be basically like the head of this event. I didn't realize that that was the role that I was playing. She had this huge gift for me. She presented in front of all of these women. These are women who work in politics here in Columbus, Ohio. These are women who are CEOs of huge corporations, and she thought enough of me to give me a platform to be able to speak in front of these ladies. But I just pulled the clip down. But as I was saying, she thought enough of me, a young lady who's still in college, to give me a platform to speak in front of all these ladies who are CEOs of companies, working in politics, overseeing large agencies like Jobs and Family Services and whatever else. And they're all coming to me and saying, you know, I would love to put you in contact with my contacts because they need your services. Things like that are affirmations from God, and they're little sprinklings of encouragement that we have to take note of. I can't turn a blind eye to that I was supposed to be there. Those women were supposed to remind me of who I am, that I am so gifted that I could work for Job and Family Services. I am so gifted that I could render my services to Columbus City Schools. I am so gifted that I can win these huge contracts, when that at first was never in the back of my mind. I'm thinking small. I'm thinking I want to advise, you know, other content creators or, you know, nonprofits, and just keeping it niche. But God is saying, like, Rikki, you can take it big. And that is the type of encouragement that I need. So whenever I have self-doubt, yes, I rely on the people around me to remind me. Yes, I go to my word. But first and foremost, I pray. And I ask God to remind me and to show me what is for me. And he always delivers within a day. I'm receiving a phone call and someone's like, hey, I got this thing I would love for you to work on. And it's like, whoa, like I didn't even know that I could do something like that. But like, let me put my big girl boots on and my that girl pants and say, well, we're going to show up and we're going to show out, because when God gives you a blessing, you show up for that blessing and all of the glory and the grandeur that you have, and you don't mess it up. You take care of your blessings. You take care of your business. And that's just always how I've been. So the confidence comes from God, but the confidence also comes from my capabilities. And if you don't feel like you're capable, we go back to the source and say, okay, why don't I feel like I'm capable? Maybe I should put in some more reps. Next question is, how has the Lord challenged you recently? God has really been challenging me in this season to just let go and let God. He's been challenging me to stop being so afraid to fail. I feel like failure has been chasing after me for the past few months, and I feel like there's this ticking time bomb with this awaiting graduation date, and I still have nothing lined up. And like I said earlier, God will give you the tools. He'll give you the camera, the computer, the skills, the software, all of that. And you're saying, why haven't you given me a job? And he's like, girl, I did give you a job. I gave you an assignment. I gave you all the tools. Why aren't you using them? So I need to stop thinking of the finished product, thinking of the salary, the bonus, whatever it is that's going to get me to the next place, and think about all the resources that he's given me, all of the tools that he's put to my disposal at this point, and use all of them, use all of my gifts, and figure out where that can take me. So that's been my biggest challenge lately, and I want to challenge all of you, if you're in a similar season, to look around you and say, I've been asking for this thing, but like, what if God gave me all of the ingredients to make that thing? What would happen if I made it myself? And what would happen if I brought God with me and put him in the mix as well? What would that make? And I promise you, whatever you envisioned versus what you can make with God is so much better. The next question is, if I wasn't influencing or majoring in marketing, what else could I see myself doing? I honestly could see myself being a daytime television host. I really wanted to do that for a long time. I would always say to all my family and friends that I was going to be on Good Morning America. Right now I'm trying to figure out my outfit for Easter. Normally I would want to wear something a little bit more pastel, but you know, we're getting older, so I think like this is okay. I have on these earrings from H&M, my usual stack. Well, I'm missing one bracelet. Sorry guys, hold on. Okay. I have on my usual stack, just my movement watch and clover bracelet, and then my necklaces are actually off because I had to get an x-ray done last week. But I have on 2 more bracelets on this arm, so I'm thinking like we're just going, you know, like auntie, rightfully so. So I'm just gonna put my shirt on. I don't own an iron, and to the girlies that do, shout out to you. Me, I'm gonna throw something in the dryer. Too early to be tussling with a shirt. Okay. Brown. This skirt, y'all, you'd be surprised, but it's actually from Fashion Nova. And I got it in black and brown. We're gonna do Alien. Y'all, this literally smells so good. I grew up with my mother wearing this. Like on church Sundays, my mom did not smell like roses and petals. She smelled like spice, okay? She smelled like a boss. So I'm channeling my mother's energy this morning, and we're gonna wear the Mugler Angel. This is before we go. My heels are actually in my car. I literally keep all my heels in my car. It makes no sense. But the last question is, how do I stop feeling FOMO? And for those of you who don't know what FOMO is, it's the fear of missing out. I will end on this question, and we're going to go to church. I will say that FOMO comes from a source of feeling like your life that you're living is not enough. And I want you to know that the walk that you're walking is with purpose. And if you don't feel like it's with purpose, it's likely because you're not making big enough footprints in the sand. So many of us are living lukewarm lives, and that's including myself. And we feel guilty because we're not taking a stance. You feel like you're missing out because you're kind of yearning for the life that you once lived. But I don't miss out on anything that is for me. Okay? I don't miss out on what's for me. I rise to the occasion and I show up. And I feel like at no point do I have to show up and show out for the club. I can't miss out on something that's for me, and I know that God has so much more for me than just going and listening to Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares and T Grizzly talk about first day out. You know, like that's just something that I feel like there's so much more for your life than that. And even if it's just social things on campus, like being able to go to the Black Student Union's meetings and attend fun social gatherings, and you feel like right now your season is calling you to putting your head down and doing what you need to do, don't feel guilty about that. Because if you don't show up for that, you should be fearful of missing out on your calling. You should be fearful of missing out on your purpose and your goals that you set for yourself this year. I'm fearful of flopping, okay? I'm fearful of losing out on not even money, because I'm not even driven by money. I'm fearful of missing out on my mark, on being able to show up and show out for what is called for me. And I know the club's not called for me. The hookah lounge is not called for me. The brunches are not called for me. I can indulge in those things here and there, but just know, like, those things will always be there. The club will always be there. The hookah lounges, the social gatherings, all of those things will always be there. But the opportunities that you are getting right now, the work that you need to do right now, it will not always be there. So you have to give your energy, your love, your light, your aura to those things. You can't keep putting it in those environments and expecting to be able to give 100% to what God is calling you to right now. And I had to realize that. I had balance at one point. I would go out and I would do a lot. And you guys saw that a little bit on my channel. I didn't show it too much. But I would go out like every weekend. I had balance. I would just do like a Saturday out. Sundays I would stay in the house or go to church, and Fridays I really wouldn't go out. Like, I had a balance. But then I had an epiphany and I was like, girl, this is the same thing. It's nothing different. It's the same music. It's the same people. You literally have lived in the city for years. You know every person that you see when you go out. It's like, it's not really exciting to be in these spaces. So I'm willing to miss out for a few months and lock in on my goals, because I know that when I pop out again, it's not going to be the same Rikki. That's what turns me up even more. It's like, I may miss out on being able to be out every weekend and have my friends be able to see me. But when they see me again, I'm going to be renewed. I'm going to be refreshed. I'm going to be giving off a new aura because I took the time to work on myself and work on my business and taking care of me. And so, you know, you glow different when you actually take care of self. And so many of us are trying to take care of being in the mix, trying to take care of meeting the world and society's expectations of what a baddie looks like, what a girl who's on the grind looks like, and we're constantly measuring up what we're doing to the next person. And I feel like if your goal is to be better than you yesterday, then you need to lock in. There's nothing that you're missing out on but what you were doing yesterday. And obviously that wasn't serving the goals that you have for yourself. So bye-bye, like, good riddance. I really just have to get to a point where it's like, do I want to miss out on my calling or do I want to miss out on the club? The choice is yours. Some people will say we're young and we're turned, we just need to have fun. And some people will say, oh, well, you'll never get these years back. Just live now. But my whole thing is, you will never get this life again. Forget this season. You will never get this life again. So you have to be very intentional about the things that you're doing now. The things that you're doing right now have a huge impact on how your life will turn out in 5 to 10 years. And you'll look back and be like, thank you to that version of you for not missing out on your calling. So I thank 16-year-old Rikki for locking in and showing up and showing out and doing, you know, the things that no one wanted to be doing at that age, but it set me up. When I think of that, I'm like, I'm not afraid to miss out, because what did I really miss out on? Truly. This right here is that girl. She smells so good. This is the Vanilla Cashmere. If you're a vanilla girl, like, you need some of this lotion in your life. It smells so good. I put it on every day. And I'm honestly kind of running low. I probably will have to buy myself some more here soon. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed getting ready with me for Easter Sunday. Like I said, my heels are in my car, but this is the finished look. My bag is Tory Burch. My top is from Shein, and my skirt is from Fashion Nova. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your Easter Sunday with your friends and your family. Hope you remember that he is risen and he has died for our sins, and that he loves you. He's in your corner, and that whatever season you're in right now, it is just for a season, right? You know, the clouds have to part eventually. So if you're down and you're out right now, just know you'll be up real soon, baby, okay? I love y'all, and have a good Easter.